Swami Vivekananda further explains the mission of the Vedanta in his Indian lectures, Colombo to Almora. He says, therefore, the world is waiting for this grand idea of universal toleration. It will be a grand and great acquisition to civilization. Nay, no civilization can long exist unless this idea enters into it. No civilization can grow unless fanaticism, bloodshed, and brutality stop. No civilization can begin to lift up its head until we look charitably upon one another. And the first step towards that much needed charity is to look charitably and kindly upon religious convictions of others. Nay, more, to understand that not only should we be charitable but positively helpful to each other, however different our religious ideas and convictions may be. And that is exactly what we do in India. As I have just related to you, it is here in India that Hindus have built and are still building churches for Christians, mosques for Mohammedans. That is the thing to do. In spite of their hatred, in spite of their brutality, in spite of their cruelty, in spite of their tyranny, and in spite of the vile language they are given to uttering, we will and must go on building churches for the Christians and mosques for the Mohammedans until we conquer through love. Until we have demonstrated to the world that love alone is the fittest thing to survive and not hatred, that it is gentleness that has the strength to live on and to fructify, and not mere brutality and physical force. The other great idea that the world wants from us today, the thinking part of Europe, nay, the whole world, more perhaps the lower classes than the higher, more the masses than the cultured, more the ignorant than the educated, more the weak than the strong, is that eternal grand idea of the spiritual oneness of the whole universe. I need not tell you today, men from the Madras University, how the modern researches of the West had demonstrated through physical means the oneness and the solidarity of the whole universe. How, physically speaking, you and I, the sun, moon, and stars, are but little waves or wavelets in the midst of an infinite ocean of matter. How Indian psychology demonstrated ages ago that similarly both body and mind are but mere names or little wavelets in the ocean of matter. The Samashti, and how, going one step further, it is also shown in the Vedanta that behind the idea of the unity of the whole show, the real soul is one. There is but one soul throughout the universe. All is but one existence. This great idea of the real and the basic solidarity of the whole universe has frightened many, even in this country. It even now finds sometimes more opponents than adherents. I tell you, nevertheless, that it is the one great life-giving idea which the world wants from us today, that which the mute masses of India want for the uplifting. For none can regenerate this land of ours without the practical application and effective operation of this ideal of the oneness of things. The rational West is earnestly bent upon seeking out the rationality, the reason death of all its philosophy and its ethics, and you all know well that ethics cannot be derived from the mere sanction of any personage, however great and divine he may have been. Such an explanation of the authority of ethics appeals no more to the highest of the world's thinkers. They want something more than human sanction for ethical and moral codes to be binding. They want some eternal principle of truth as the sanction of ethics. And where is that eternal sanction to be found except in the only infinite reality that exists in you and in me and in all, in the self, in the soul? The infinite oneness of the soul is the eternal sanction of all morality. That you and I are not only brothers. Every literature voicing man's struggle towards freedom has preached that for you, but that you and I are really one. This is the dictate of Indian philosophy. This is what we call the oneness is the rational of all ethics and all spirituality. Europe wants it today just as much as our downtrodden masses do. And this great principle is even now unconsciously forming the basis of all the latest political and social aspirations that are coming up in England, in Germany, in France, and in America. And mark it, my friends, that in and through all the literature voicing man's struggle towards freedom, towards universal freedom, again and again you find the Indian Vedantic ideas coming out prominently. In some cases, the writers do not know the source of their inspiration. In some cases, they try to appear very original, and a few there are bold and grateful enough to mention the source and acknowledge their indebtedness to it. When I was in America, I heard once the complaint made that I was preaching too much of Advaita and too little of dualism. Hey, I know what grandeur, what oceans of love, what infinite ecstatic blessings and joy there are in the dualistic love theories of worship and religion. I know it all. But this is not the time with us to weep. Even in joy, we have had weeping enough. No more is this the time for us to become soft. This softness has been with us till we have become like masses of cotton and are dead. What our country now wants are muscles of iron and nerves of steel, gigantic wills which nothing can resist, which can penetrate into the mysteries and the secrets of the universe and will accomplish their purpose in any fashion. Even if it meant going down to the bottom of the ocean and meeting death face to face, that is what we want. And that can only be created, established, and strengthened by understanding and realizing the idea of the Advaita, that ideal of the oneness of all. Faith, faith, faith in ourselves, faith, faith, faith in God. This is the secret of greatness. If you have faith in all the 330 millions of your mythological gods, and in all the gods which foreigners have now and again introduced into your midst, and still have no faith in yourselves, there is no salvation for you. Have faith in yourselves and stand upon that faith and be strong. That is what we need. Why is it that we 330 million of people have been ruled for the last 1000 years by any and every handful of foreigners who chose to walk over our prostrate bodies because they had faith in themselves and we had not? What did I learn in the West? And what did I see behind these frothy sayings of the Christian sects repeating that man is a fallen and hopelessly fallen sinner? There I saw that inside the national hearts of both Europe and America resides the tremendous power of the man's faith in themselves. An English boy will tell you, I am an Englishman and I can do anything. The American boy will tell you the same thing, and so will an European boy. Can our boys say the same thing here? No. Nor even the boys' fathers. We have lost faith in ourselves, and therefore to preach the Advaita aspect of the Vedanta is necessary to rouse up the hearts of men, to show them the glory of their souls. It is therefore that I preach this Advaita, and I do so not as a sectarian, but upon universal and widely accepted grounds. It is easy to find out the way of reconciliation that will not hurt the dualist or the qualified monist. There is not one system in India which does not hold the doctrine that God is within, that divinity resides within all things. Every one of our Vedantic systems admits that all purity and perfection and strength are in the soul already. According to some, this perfection sometimes becomes as it were contracted, and at some other times it becomes expanded again. Yet it is there, according to the Advaita, it neither contracts nor expands but becomes hidden and uncovered now and again. Pretty much the same thing in effect. The one may be a more logical statement than the other, but as to the result, the practical conclusions, both are about the same, and this is the one central idea which the world stands in need of, and nowhere is the want more felt than in this our own motherland. Hey, my friends, I must tell you a few harsh truths. I read in the newspapers now when one of our poor fellows is murdered or ill-treated by an Englishman. Howls go all over the country. I read and I weep. And the next moment comes to my mind the question, who is responsible for it all? As the Vedantist, I cannot but put that question to myself. The Hindu is the man of introspection. He wants to see things in and through himself. Through the subjective vision, I therefore ask myself who is responsible, and the answer comes every time, not the English. No, they are not responsible. It is we who are responsible for all our misery and all our degradation, and we alone are responsible. Our aristocratic ancestors went on trading the common masses of our country underfoot till they became helpless. Till under their torrent, the poor people nearly forgot that they were human beings. They were being compelled to be merely hewers of wood and drawers of water for centuries, so much so that they are made to believe that they are born as slaves, as hewers of wood and drawers of water. With all our boasted education of modern times, if anybody says a kind word for them, I often find our men shrink at once from the duty of lifting them up. These poor downtrodden people. Not only so, but I also find that all sorts of most demonical and brutal arguments culled from the crude ideas of hereditary transmission and other such gibberish from the Western world are brought forward in order to brutalize and tyrannize over the poor. All the more, at the Parliament of Religions in America, there came among others a young man, a Negro born, a real African Negro, and he made a beautiful speech. I became interested in the young man and now then talked of him but could learn nothing about him. But one day in England, I met some Americans, and this is what they told me, that this boy was the son of a Negro chief who lived in the heart of Africa, and that one day another chief became angry with the father of this boy and murdered him, and murdered the mother also, and they were cooked and eaten. He ordered the child to be killed also, cooked and eaten, but the boy fled. And after passing through great hardships and having travelled a distance of several hundred of miles, he reached the seashore, and there he was taken into the American vessel and brought over America. And this boy made that speech. After that, what was I to think of your doctrine of heredity? Hey, Brahmins, if the Brahmins have more aptitude for learning on the ground of heredity than the Pariha, spend no more money on the Brahmins' education, but spend all on the Pariha. Give to the weak, for there all the gift is needed. Swami Vivekananda. The Mission of Vedanta from the speeches Colombo to Almora.